So Petty is a victim, but not a victim of the federal government. Well, when you're confronted with impossible situations, these type of things are happening and happen. The city and the state not only created an impossible situation for federal law enforcement, knowing they were, this is what the deep state types do. This is what those psychological operators that I speak about do. Again, they just did it in my attempts to buy a bed, right? A bed headboard and frame. They're making it impossible and made it impossible. It includes a lot of metaphysics and psychological operation because there's nothing else that I can purchase right now. I have to wait it out. Now, if the CIA and the FBI were doing what they were supposed to do, they would find a way to present that board at a cheaper price. It's just what they do for informants and people that are helps to the government. Because these people were in power, like Mueller, Comey, and all them, they have their progeny, and the person that sits on the thing that say who gets paid, they pay the sexualizers, they pay the criminals that come after me that are part of sex trafficking and narcotics distribution. They pay them and make them out to be the victims because they're part of the scam. So the office that decides who gets paid is really at fault. They know the scam. And you know what to say to a director or an assistant director to make them believe that they're doing their honest job. Nobody gets to attack somebody that is supposed to be paid to see if they would be worthy of paying. That's the reason this is happening. If you paid me, none of this would be happening. Well, you owe me. You asked for help, you got your help, and you fucked me off. Half of it was covert. You wouldn't even let people see that I was helping you. Could be still, I don't know. Government shadow banned way before social media shadow banned. Who do you think taught him it? Dirty tricks, CIA, that type of thing. Dirty trick, Comey, Mueller. So we'll get to where we're going to go right now. No, I'm not paid. You owe me $1 trillion. At this point, something said $1 trillion, like somebody with big power. They're sitting somewhere and I go, you owe him $1 trillion. I came in this morning. I go, whoa, it's above $1 billion. It's $1 trillion now. Who knows? It could have been Homan. You owe him $1 trillion. So we have this situation. Preddy had some sort of psychological issue. He may have been online speaking about it before. At a minimum, I think he lacks self-esteem. He was out there to prove himself. Being around combat heroes. Again, what I do when people say, like back when I was more circulating around, because now it doesn't pay. I mean, the deep state is just so sick. I don't want to include people in something like that, especially when the church is doing it. Oh my God, it's such filth. But I would when I was circulating around more, I would have more interaction with people in reference to all of this. And when people would feel, I don't like people feeling like they're not important, especially saying, oh, you're a marshal, you were military. I was, well, I couldn't make it. It's the truth, actually. I was only really speaking the truth. I can't make it alive through something if you don't have prayers for me, if you don't want me to. So again, what we see going into Minnesota is, again, the opposite. They're willing trouble. So Preddy was around veterans and probably highly decorated veterans, combat veterans. And he's just not one. And this is one of the problems with the deep state. The deep state lacks self-esteem itself. So the manipulators are manipulating others based upon their lack of self-esteem. And actually just pieces of shit in reality. They don't even have capability. They have capability to screw everything up and steal money for themselves. So they're operating Preddy, who is actually a victim of the deep state, of the psychological operation of the governor and the mayor. They know what they're doing. They're manipulating people. It's no different than Hamas putting children out in front of them because they feel like they're going to get arrested. They're going to throw their people at the law enforcement. Face it, they're on the wrong side of the law. Right now, they feel a little empowered because they got a few shootings going on. Now, one of the things that came up is, well, why are you going to engage in the operation if it's risky and there's shootings? Because as the president and Homan said, do you realize how many people we saved that aren't out on the street doing that crazy shit and risking themselves for nothing? Pretty died for nothing. The bullshit the mayor and the governor and the chief of police and all the others are speaking about is bullshit. There's no rescuing that woman. And in fact, the operations would be more ordered. It wouldn't look so chaotic if you weren't doing what you were doing and your people weren't doing what they were doing. But let's go to the people. That woman that picked up the flashbang is a lunatic, okay? That's what we call her in law enforcement. She's a lunatic. She needs not to be out there. So why did you trigger her lunacy and put her out there? You're trying to make them feel like they're a military winning an objective. You're using science and psychology that is, quite frankly, forbidden for what you're using it for. These are people with severe mental illness, and I'm sure of it. They're online all the time. You can see them. Well, I have and I'm polyamorous or what amorous, or whatever that shit is. Polyamorous or amorous. Polyamorous, that's it. They got 15 mental illnesses, but on top of that, they want to have sex with everybody. That's what they're telling you. Right. So it's a crazy world. So these people we know have issues. Right. And the city and the state have taken advantage of them and put them out there. There's no doubt Freddie has issues. Now, if they found a gun the first time, then I misspoke because I don't have that evidence. But if they didn't find a gun the first time, this is the part that they want you to not figure out. And this is what I think Kash was speaking about, but I might be wrong. Because they were saying, well, he straps on a gun. Well, he's just out protecting himself. No. He came to the protest without a gun. Then he got in a scuffle with the officers, which happens with protesters. Right? But he's not really a protester. Let's get back to that. He's obstructing justice. He's stalking officers. He probably assaulted officers. You don't have to win the fight to assault an officer. It's a statute. We can't prosecute it in Minnesota. Strike number 2. Minnesota is the reason Preddy wasn't hemmed up and pulled into federal court. And possibly required to wear an ankle monitor and not go near those things. That's what the federal judge is supposed to be doing. We bring him in. The judge says, hey, you can't go to these protests because you've acted out at a protest. And now we'll set in the probable cause hearing and all that, preliminary hearing, right? Detention, da-da-da. So because Minnesota has screwed up and has figured out how to circumvent the charging and prosecution of these things, there's no way to deter Preddy from strapping on a gun and going back out there. It's like removing all the psychological commitment and psychological hold processes in Minnesota. That's pretty much what they're doing. Believe me, a bunch of those people should have been put in for a hold. They're risking themselves for nothing. I think a large number of them, if they went into court and said, Your Honor, I was manipulated, I got psychological issues, they dropped the charge anyway. Right. So again, we can't deter Preddy because you destroyed prosecution. Yeah, you're very intelligent spycraft and psychological operators. You were able to circumvent and destroy deterrents in Minnesota. So the idea is, why do we do this? Well, it's like Holman and the president said. We've already saved people. We know it. See, I told you for years, this is the difficult part about being a healer. If you can successfully heal it, it's not going to happen. And then, oh, he's not a healer. Nothing's happening. Right. But it's already been proven. People were what do they call it? Escaping, I guess, from the situation, the horror house situations, while I was healing it. Right. It jumped up like crazily. Right. And then they killed me, so we couldn't get to it. Well, because I can't use so much power that I can't live another year and fix the other stuff. Right. So the idea is that Preddy strapped on a gun after saying what? They beat me up. They assaulted me. It's horrible. Broke my rib. Now, I don't know if he actually had a broken rib. It'd be nice to find out. You know, where did he get the statement? Well, maybe in his own head. He may have had a good feeling. We call that good feeling. Because he attacked the officers, he got a good feeling. And that's supposed to deter him from doing it again. That's the way the world works. Right. But what did he do? He strapped on a gun because of the good feeling. And if he didn't have a broken rib, that's another psychological thing that we see. He's exaggerating what happened to him. Right. Because he wants to be the hero. Oh, I got wounded. Right. I was rescuing people. It's like going into a bank, beating up the security guard during a robbery and saying, oh, I'm saving you. Run with the money. That's really what you're doing. You can explain everything I'm trying to explain with a bank robbery scenario. You can explain every other law with how ludicrous or how guilty someone is by explaining a bank robbery and putting them into it with the theory that they're using, right? Or that you're using to try to explain something. So again, that's what they're doing. The visualization is there's somebody robbing a bank and the security guard is going to stop the person from robbing the bank. And then you run in, Preddy runs in with a gun strapped to his side saying, I'm saving you, run with the money. That's really what it is. There is no such thing that I don't believe in immigration law. That doesn't work. Well, maybe somebody doesn't believe in sex trafficking law. Then we should get rid of that. We should attack officers trying to rescue children from sex trafficking. Right. I mean, some are on a take, I realize that. And they're not actually doing what they say they're doing. Right. That's besides the point. Thanks. So Preddy straps on that weapon. Why? Because he's going to take on the officers. Some people, they take a beer, they get that liquid courage. Preddy's got the strap to the side courage. Right. Now he's going back after. Just to protect himself. That's the only reason it's there, right? No, he's going out there and he's going to take on the officers again. But now he's armed. So again, this is what you're all saying is ludicrous. And there's even more. They're telling me there's more evidence out there that there was something going on in Preddy's life, and he's not who they say he is, even though he's probably an okay guy. Again, we have people that were like serial killers, I think, that were okay guys, and they worked at VA hospitals or something. Wouldn't that be? We found that. So one of two things happened. He was known to carry, or he didn't have the firearm the first time. The only thing, and again, these are very difficult situations Minneapolis PD, no, they're going to shoot more people. They just have never been confronted with this. Right. Look, I've worked in the mine with them. They'll shoot more people. I mean, it's impossible situations. And then they haven't worked around that all that much. I guess they helped a couple of times. But the with the whistle and then so again, that affects the mind. That has to be explained to the court. You need to explain to the court that we don't know who put this in there, but it sounds like it's something used in psychological war to cause a disruption, and in prisoner of war camps to cause a disruption in the victim, a psychological disruption, an inability to reason reasonably. Again, you don't have to say, we believe we reasoned reasonably, but what are they doing? And why are they saying that it's us when it's them? Right. And it could, it could be like something rhythmic in Petty's head. It could have made him crazy. Gotta give me a gun. No, that woman that picked up the flashbang, she is not all there. I'll tell you that. Now, you can pick one individual and say, well, this is little thin, mild, meeky Preddy. But there were 50 other people. So it's not Preddy that they were fighting. They were fighting 50 people. And in every one of those situations they didn't come out of their house without you removing deterrence. They did not come out there en masse in that number without you removing deterrence. You purposefully removed deterrence. Minneapolis PD never had that situation. I mean, there was a couple of situations where it was like riot control, but not that situation where they come to a protest and they control the riot versus, hey, we're just out here trying to arrest somebody and everybody converges on the street. Get the officer, get that detective. Hey, get that donut out of your mouth, fatso. Right. So again, there's a big difference. Right. No, we will not stop deporting people. It's not going to happen. You made a mess in the United States and they're gone. Now, this thing goes back, say, well, why? Why this increase? Well, you know what? If Biden would have did what he was supposed to, and again, the first Trump administration didn't quite get where they probably needed to. Took some time to unravel all of it, but plus it wasn't as bad as it is now. And some of these people might be getting paroled. There's another thing going on. Some of the states might just be paroling these people because, you got to spend all that money. If you're going to send them back, we'll just parole it. Right. Well, if this is the bottom line, and any judge worth their salt should find this. If those people weren't allowed to commit the felonies, if state and local laws were being enforced, not helping find immigrants. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about just your basic law and order for those neighborhoods and those communities. Then none of it would be happening. In fact, you're all saying Preddy was rescuing a woman. That's irresponsible government. Preddy was committing several felonies, including carrying that firearm when he intended to obstruct justice. Now, I don't know if there's anything online that shows him in conspiracy. There's a lot of statements he made, and they show that he had the mens rea to oppose law enforcement and commit felonies against law enforcement in that opposition. And in fact, if he didn't have the gun on the first time, and then he got a good feeling because was in the middle of an arrest, and hey, you have to stop that. You know what Minnesota PD would do to somebody that does that, or Minneapolis PD? Do you know what they would do to somebody? If I was a Minneapolis police officer, or let's say it was just let's do it neutral. There's a Minneapolis police officer, and Petty walks up with a gun on his side and goes, "Hey, stop that!" when he was trying to frisk somebody. Would you say, what would the news say? Would it say he's rescuing somebody? No, of course it wouldn't. So enough of the nonsense, because it's going to get to that federal court level where they're going to find a lot of different things other than Joe Schmo playing a game with like ideas. Oh, you're not doing habeas corpus. That somebody probably told him to do that because I brought it up. Right. This federal court is not prepared for that many habeas corpus petitions, and ICE and Justice Department already have evidence. It's taken so long to get these things moving. So someone in the federal court is trying to launch a preemptive strike. The federal court cannot possibly hear these cases in a respectable amount of time. Right. I was looking the other day, like, who can we put on these? Can we bring in administrative judges assigned specifically to the federal court? Because there are administrative judges outside of. For some reason, Judge Blake was an administrative judge, I think, for a time. I have to look that up and see if I can find it. I don't think while I was there, or she had a dual designation. I can't. Somebody was in my memory was an administrative judge, and maybe it was before she was a federal judge. I don't. Well, the question I have is, can you appoint temporary federal judges where their only thing is to sit on the habeas corpus? Can we find somebody like that? And I was trying to discover that the other day, and then they came out with this BS. You're not filing the petitions fast enough, or you're not responding, or whatever it is. But the reality is the court's not handling it right, and can't. Right? You don't have enough judges. This is what you should know. 99%, even if they're Second Amendment people, 99% of Americans would never, ever think to strap on a gun and walk up to a law enforcement officer and tell them that they can't do what they're doing while they're, frisking, arresting, whatever it is. Because there is a process for that. Like if you have a question of what's happening, and it is, you're in court, no, they can do this. What's going on is you don't agree with law and order. The state of Minnesota doesn't agree with law and order. The media is actually moving some major psychological triggers right now. No, President Trump has made no agreements to remove anything. He's moved Bovino along. That's an executive decision based upon whatever. He may have made a deal with 7 Democrats off of that. I don't know. Right. And Bovino himself told you, I'll be here until they tell me to move on. He never got demoted. He was a chief. He made a lot of travel money for a while. And now he's not on travel status. That's probably one of the longest travel statuses of any task force in the history of the country. I mean, people, they go out on assignment and then they come back, and they go out on assignment, come back. He stayed out on it. Right? So, if it's not working, you got to move it, move something else. Again, I don't know what they're going to do, but there's no idea that it's ICE out. Again, he's actually Border Patrol. He's not ICE. Right? Or he is ICE, but not ICE. Right? He's not, was it ICRO or whatever they call it. So again, if you really look back, he's probably remained there as long as he would have remained there anyway. The question is whether they're going to use him for any follow-up assignments. Pennsylvania looks like it's going to be troublemakers, but again, the law's on your side. You just have to make sure you're using dressed up, because that's what the judges are whack. They're not allowed to consider what they see on television. They really aren't. They have their favorite media personnel. They go, what? What are they doing? Oh my God, I'm going to make a decision in my courtroom based upon my favorite reporter from the court system or from the law enforcement. That's what they're doing. They're making decisions based on things that are not in evidence, and the things that are in evidence are bullshit. They never required any evidence for the evidence. You just say it. I proffer to the court that these agents are doing this, and this happened to this person, and this happened to that person. And over here, I read on the internet that happened to that person. That's all it is. Right. But the attorneys are full of shit, and they're reporting what? They have firsthand knowledge of this, Your Honor. How many defense attorneys would play that game if they could? Every last one of them. If you allowed your defense attorney to proffer everything, they'd make up shit all day long. Right. I guess they're not defense attorneys in that regard, but they are the same type of person. The person that goes against ICE is the same person that defends, the same personality of person that defends criminals. Now, there's some good criminal defense attorneys. They're actually respectable, and they wouldn't even go near that. But right. So a lot of these proceedings, there was no facts, like something that could be entered into the evidence to say that this is real. Just simply, Your Honor, Your Honor, Your Honor. That was it. Bunch of bullshit. And then the judge goes, I was looking at the news, and I'm like, what the hell is that? The only way that news can be considered is if they introduce it. And then the government can say, but that's an opinion, Your Honor. That's not a fact. In fact, we have the facts. So that's why they never gave you specific information about each event, because they didn't want you to be able to tell the truth about it. They knew it. So again, what I would do, because of the environment that you're operating in, again, you have to step it up to actually what Delta Force would do. Now, it doesn't mean that you're more aggressive. Again, you have to, because Delta Force, in some situations, you don't even know it's them. And they're carrying pistolas or stuff underneath their trench coats, kind of like Secret Service. Right? But you just see them walking. That's kind of the difference here, because you can see this stuff. And you go, oh my God, look at the way they're dressed. Well, oh my God, look at what happens to people that aren't dressed like this that do this kind of work. Right. Well, just so you know, all these, because we're going to launch this law, that law. It's nothing. You can't tell federal agents what to do. So, well, you can go to a federal court. Again, this is where Preddy should have been, supporting the federal court suits, lawsuits and things. That's it. That's all he can do. That's what the system's built to do. So if Preddy spent his time helping out attorneys, it would be valid, and he wouldn't be dead. In fact, if he didn't have a firearm, he wouldn't be dead. In fact, if the governor and the mayor and the chief of police hadn't pulled all state and local law enforcement, including traffic law enforcement, noise law enforcement, that big, huge obstruction of justice statute, you could be a subpoena server in Minnesota, and they have obstruction of justice if somebody gets in your way. That's civil law. Right. Or it could be civil law. It could be both civil or. So again, these are the reasons it happened. Could the officers have done something different? Yes. But because you created an impossible scenario and secretly in your mind are going, gotcha! Sacrifice plenty and it was worth it! They sacrificed Preddy for their own selfish and, in some cases, criminal goals. So again, this would be leadership that is lawful and just. I want everybody to go down to these legal services that are representing the immigrants and help out, be messengers. If you can type, do the computer work. If you're an attorney, come on down and help us. If you do legal research, you're paralegal, come on down here and help us. If you're a nurse, come down here. Maybe we can use you as a nurse. But Preddy had something going on in his head that shouldn't have been there. You made the situation, Minnesota, not the officers. The officers do this every day for how many years, and nobody bothers them. And there was nobody shot, right? So there's deterrence that is in effect state and local laws, as well as the ability to prosecute obstruction of justice and assault on federal officer federally. That was removed. That's why there were shootings. That's why there were people chancing that, including psychological disruptions. I'm telling you right now, whoever that woman is that picked up the flashbang has got some severe psychological issues. You're putting people that shouldn't even be around law enforcement. They have such psychological issues that even if this whole thing wasn't going on, they should probably stay out of any location where there is law enforcement because their mind can't handle it. Maybe they're around it, but it'll drive them nuts. Right? Because they're stress casualties. Right? Still kind of lightly out there. I was speaking about the blizzards of 1970, late 1970, early 1980s. And then this happens. Been speaking about it all for the last few months. So again, putting people out there in these things is bullshit. Again, if Mondami does it, I'll say he's bullshit. If Josh does it, I'll say he's bullshit. It's bullshit. Chicken shit bullshit. Sacrificing your people for your own political selfishness. Now, if you can mount a legal opposition, that's fine. That's where you should be telling your people to go. You might be saying, maybe you should be shooting my effort in the foot. I might be successful. I don't know. But I'm just trying to show you where you should be and where you shouldn't be. Well, actually, legally, there's not much you can do. Well, I'll tell you that. Well, a lot of the issue they're having, to tell you the truth, is their statistics aren't that bad. It's just there's so many operations. Why are there so many operations? Because the issue is that big. But their statistics aren't that bad. If you look at it, I actually think some of their, again, the latest shootings are pumping it up. Until then, it was probably the best in history. The number of actual shootings per operation is still probably darn good, if not the best. I mean, I can't even imagine. I don't know if they have it recorded somewhere. The number of individual operations that you're engaging in, the number of contacts. So again, in one and again, you're fighting your way to it. So that's something even that's not even, I don't think, in recorded history. But the number of interactions that you have with either a U.S. citizen or an immigrant, and then how many officer-involved shootings, how many times you had to dunk somebody. It's probably, I guess the dunk is pretty high because they are fighting. Right? But really, the statistics aren't that bad for the situation. So you really can't compare it to Minneapolis Police Department to begin with, because they don't operate in that environment, because they will give them tickets, they will impound their vehicle. We'll give them a good feeling and put them in a cell overnight. And then the person goes, they didn't charge me. Yeah, but you spent overnight in a cell. Can you please not do that again? Please feel like you were punished instead of a hero. That's how our system works. That's why they don't have to shoot somebody. Guy or gal comes out, but media is there, the governor, the mayor. Ah, great job, great job. Got yourself locked up, great job. You're a hero. Right. Nothing like killing deterrence. And again, Hohmann alluded to something, but there's this point that the future is touching back. There are people that we're saving that are never going to have, and even immigrants. I'm here, I can see it. And some of the immigrants, believe it or not, went back to the country with that money, and they have the best life they've ever had. They were able to put something together. And that's again, I'm not here as a junior member of these type of things. Right? I've lobbied and poured my heart out into programs in Central and South America. Jared and what's her name? Ivanka actually effectuated a few of those. CIA effectuated a few of those. The banking industry, the BMW people. Right. We want to do it, but we can't do it till we fix this. Right. Once we get back to square, then we can, America first to a certain degree. Like President Trump's making deals with Central and South America based upon America first, but it involves also helping their nation. And that's what we want to do, but we can't do it till we fix this. So you're actually holding up the reinstitution of immigration, and then also the reinstitution of foreign aid, because we're getting somewhere. Right. The problem is we tried, so Hashem came up with the idea, and I was with Hashem, we said we got to move business into Mexico. So we moved business into Mexico, and the crooks start extorting our businesses and the people working in our businesses. Right. So we need to get it. We need to get things straight, because there are people that, again, not everybody realizes what the best route is, especially when you have somebody telling them the other route's better. Again, I brought it up before. The whole immigration thing is like this manic episode they go through. Right. And I understand it's not that great in your home country, and I'm the first person to help fix it. But we can't burn burn the candle at both ends, or whatever they say. Right. Mm-hmm. Okay, Biden kept writing checks. Trump does the same thing sometimes. But again, the idea is writing checks and getting somewhere is different than writing checks and just hee. Right. I think Biden's medication was a little bit high. Writing that check. I'm the first to write a check if I think the program's going to work. as far as, metaphysically, right? Now, the Democrats have not used the money they were given and the money they spent for the people, really. It's just, and the money we're wasting here in Minnesota trying to do this because of what they're doing. We used to feed people, used to house people. And like I tell you, I'm not stupid, even if the rest are. You started showing us how wonderful the life was for the immigrants here. Oh, look, I have a house. I'm average middle class. And people going, what? How'd you get that house? So they stopped showing that. The people that really make this country run are broken and in broken lives. Well, the immigrants broke those lives in a lot of those cases. They're running RICO organizations. Strong arm, but it's done a little different. Some of those people, as you see, were purely role players, and you need to use those terms when you go to court. Say, look, Your Honor, this person was lying. They were instructed to lie. It's just simply a role player. You're watching the news, and this person really isn't having this situation happen. They're an actor, a paid actor, delivering false statements to law enforcement, which is chargeable. Right? They're lying to law enforcement. Thank you. So again, you're messing up the future for all these people, the younger ones especially, because at a certain point, we're going to beat it if you let us beat it. Right? If somebody's here on parole, it doesn't mean they're allowed to stay. That's where you're all going to run into problems. It's like people that squat. You're looking to squat. You move into a house and it's mine. No, it's not. They can't stay. Right. Right. Because a lot of them lied. A lot of the cases had no reason to give them parole. I believed we needed immigrant employees, and I believe we did, and we do. But that's based upon something else, not what Biden and his people did. I'm one of the first people to say, you scream at them and say, you got to give them work visas. They can't be here without work visas. Idle minds, idle hands is going to get them in trouble. But here we had groups of people that they knew shouldn't have been here, and they're running around criminals anyway, defrauding the system and everything else. Putting on airs, and, this is a millionaire. It's a millionaire. It's a fraudster. I guarantee if I moved in where Sunaman, L.A., they'd dog me and say, yes, Mr. Sunaman, or whatever, Sooner, or whatever it is. Right. The guy that defrauded the homeless housing system. I guarantee I get attacked by cops while I was there. Well, that guy would, yes, sir, no check. Right. Heal this person. My neighbor. Well, stay peaceful. Praise